How can you be so much of a loser that you confess to 100 girls and they all turn you down? Okay, not gonna lie. Kind of sounds like me. Rentaro is him! And I don't mean this in a good way. I mean, this is the ugly, colossal idiot who can't get a female, even if it was prescribed by the doctor to save his life. He takes his worries to God. Okay, I meant the God of love, who gives this idiot the answer that changes his life. Rentaro is destined to clap 100 wives. I know you're watching this because we are both worthless ugly rats who can't afford a 3D girl, so here we are stuck on 2.5D girls. Well, I don't know about you, but I know I am stuck with them. Just when I thought I was the lowest of the low, I came across this downright ugly cow with a face only a mother can love, Rentaro Aiho. It's the end of the school year, and all the students are hugging and getting teary-eyed over their goodbyes. But when you see your classmates on the street, it's like playing Among Us. Everyone is a stranger. Or maybe it's just me being the quiet imposter in the group. Seizing the moment, our great Rentaro decides to confess his feelings to his crush, and surprisingly, everything seems to be going smoothly. More than smooth, actually, like smooth, because the girl tells him that he's super kind, attentive, and loved by everyone. Sounds like a win, right? Well, here's where the plot twist drops like in Attack on Titan. After she took one good look at his ugly, disgusting face, she totally crushed him like the worm he is by saying, the idea of dating him makes her want to throw up. Naturally, Rentaro feels like he's just been hit with a full metal alchemist equivalent of the Philosopher's Stone in reverse, ultimate rejection. But Rentaro isn't new to this game. His best friend, probably the smartest character in this whole mess, asks him how many rejections he's racked up. And just like we all know and have seen his ugly face, our boy's rejection count is at a whopping 30.
Oh my God!
If you ever thought about giving up on something, just remember Rentaro, he's basically the Rocky Balboa of romantic failures. His first love declaration was at the tender age of 5. Bro has been simping right from birth. What's odd though is that no one seems to want him, despite him being the perfect combo. Ugly, dumb, and an eyesore. Unlike his friend, who's handsome, smart, athletic, and kind, with both girls and guys liking him, but life, like a misfired Kamehameha, just doesn't seem to want him to succeed, and most definitely did not miss the shot. So what does he do? He does the one thing I've never thought to do. I thought of using black magic to tie her soul to mine. Ha. Just joking. But as a last resort to solve his love problems, Rentaro heads to a shrine to pray to the gods. And it works, kind of. Well, an old man's face that's equally just as ugly pops out of the shrine, who turns out to be the god of the shrine. The god tells Rentaro not to worry because it's written in the stars that he'll meet his soulmate. Rentaro, being the skeptical protagonist he is, doesn't buy it, but the god insists that soulmates are real, like Dragon Balls. Have you ever wondered if Dragon Balls and Dragon Balls were actually castrated Dragon Balls? Damn! That's deep. Well, when soulmates meet, they feel an electric shock through their bodies and fall in love instantly. It's beyond love at first sight, it's love at first sight with a touch of Pikachu, too. The god goes on to explain that not only the woman will recognize it immediately, but men take a bit more time to process it. Not everyone has a soulmate, but Rentaro is super lucky because in high school, he's been predestined to meet 100 soulmates. Yeah, you heard right. This ugly cow will straight out be clapping 100 cheeks, and here I am. Not even able to pull an overweight 3.5. I'm anti-gravity when it comes to pulling girls. Our boy and every other ugly who's watching this are hyped with this news, but Rentaro adds that if this turns out to be fake, he'll burn down the shrine with a look so sinister even the god had chills run down his spine. Fast forward a month and Rentaro is on a mission to see if it's true. He's at high school now and it's just the first day. He's walking through the halls when he accidentally bumps into 2 girls. Just as the god foretold, it's like Zeus threw a lightning bolt in their midst. Rentaro wonders if these 2 are his soulmates, but to avoid looking like a weirdo, he helps them get up like nothing happened. One of the girls, Hikari, a pink-haired sweetheart, seizes the opportunity and claims she hurt her ankle, so Rentaro has to help her walk. The ugly cow thinks he's messed up and hurt his soulmate, but Hikari falls even harder for him because of this. And just as she's about to get up, the other girl, Inda, a brown-haired and equally cute and eye-pleasing girl pulls the same move, saying she also hurt her ankle. Now, Rentaro is practically on cloud 9, realizing that maybe he's the luckiest guy in the world as they walk and argue over who will get him, and naturally they plunge him into their melons. As they walk, they overhear some girls talking about a rumor that if you pick a pink 4-leaf clover and hold it while confessing, the person will say yes. Hikari and Inda, determined to win Rentaro's love, don't hesitate to investigate. They spend over 3 hours searching, but alas, it turns out to be just a rumor. Rentaro, realizing this, decides to bring them some drinks. However, he only finds Inda, who gets super nervous because she doesn't want him to think she's in love with him, though she totally is. She can't resist his charm, takes the drink, and leaves. Seconds later, Hikari arrives. Not wanting to be outdone, she tells Rentaro that the drink is too much for her, so the best thing is to share it. She just wants to indirectly this ugly cow. Rentaro, being the clueless, stupid, dumb, and most profound in the face of both the real world and the anime-verse, pulls out a rather smaller drink and stretches it to her, but she still says it's much, and then he agrees to drink it, and just as Hikari is about to take a sip, her emotions spike, and she spills the drink, and sneak a freaking peek at that position at 12:43. Arch so clean it makes the French curves jealous, and look at those fleshy chopsticks and those melons right in front. I know, that's why we're all gathered here today, to ogle at the best of the best women the god has set in place for us and Rentaro to share. Seeing this thick mama bent over, Rentaro hands her a handkerchief to clean up. Witnessing this, Hikari can't hold back any longer and declares her love for Rentaro. She knows it's sudden, and she's not the only one who feels this way, but she can't keep it bottled up anymore. Rentaro is over and talking to the moon, but before he can respond, Inda arrives on the scene. The poor girl had bought sodas of every flavor because she didn't know which one Rentaro liked, but Hikari beat her to the punch. Inda doesn't stay idle, she also confesses her love, and now Rentaro has to choose. He tells them that he'll give them an answer in the morning, needing guidance because right now his mind is in shambles. I wonder how he's going to handle 100 if just 2 has got his thing. So he goes back to the shrine, but instead of solving his problem, things get worse. The god informs him that both girls are his soulmates. Rentaro's a rare case, the god says. Most people only have one soulmate, but during Rentaro's creation, the god was distracted by a One Piece episode, and instead of writing one soulmate, he accidentally wrote a 100. To make matters worse, the god explains that if you don't end up with your soulmate, both of your lives start going downhill until you eventually meet your end. So, rejecting one girl could doom her future. Rentaro gets the brilliant idea of dating both secretly, but quickly realizes that it never works in all the cartoons and movies he's seen, and it would hurt their feelings. The next morning, he tells them that he wants to date both of them because he likes them too much to choose. Maybe it's a bit of an Ouran High School host club move, but he's determined to make them the happiest girls in the world. To prove his sincerity, he pulls out 2 pink 4-leaf clovers, which he spent all night searching for. Inda is furious at the thought of sharing him, but when Rentaro explains that he thought giving them the clovers along with his declaration would make them happy, both girls can't contain their love. Sneak another freaking peek at exactly 1814. Look at the sheer difference in melon size, and at 1834, you can see the overwhelming difference between the 2 ladies' chopsticks. I don't know about you, but about 10 minutes ago, I already chose Hikari. You can also leave in the comments who you choose between the 2 of them. It's quite too early to name Hakira the Meloneer, just in case someone pulls up with melons bigger and juicier like Tessalia Scythia from Monster Girl Doctor. She's a sensuar, but she's got melons the size of 10 drums, and JSYK wherever the melons are is where I'll be. Hikari accepts his proposal. Her love for him is so great, she'll do anything to be with him. Inda, not wanting to be outdone, also agrees, but warns him that if he doesn't treat her well, he'll pay for it. Rentaro did it. He's left me and a good number of us in the singlet and single Pringle community. The next morning, love is so thick in the air that Rentaro even tells a light pole about what happened. Then the 2 girls arrive, and Hikari makes the first move by grabbing Rentaro's hand with so much love and looks like she just touched a star. Meanwhile, she's just holding this ugly monkey. Inda quickly catches on and he grabs her with his other hand. As they walk, both girls are deep in thought about how much they love Rentaro, We can visibly see the love spilling over the ground as they walk. When they arrive at school, they encounter the vice principal, Mrs. Supersonic, who's like a razor head on caffeine. She's strict with the rules, and if you don't comply, she'll chase you down and give you the worst punishment ever, a French kiss that definitely looks like she's inserting her tongue deep into your throat, the life out of you. Seizing the moment again, Hikari asks if Rentaro has had his first kiss. He tells them no, that they're his first girlfriends, and with that, the race is on.
Here we go again.
The early birds get to be his first kiss. At lunchtime, Hikari wastes no time in showcasing her wifely duties by telling Rentaro that she cooked for him. He tries her food and loves it. Inda, not wanting to be left out, offers him some cookies, and instead of the pretty girl to calm down and feed him like Hikari did, she almost makes him blind by putting the cookie through his right eye. He ends up eating it anyways with one eye. Hikari having it, so she pulls out her sweets, but says she can't touch them with her hands, so she has another way. She puts it in her mouth, and for a second I thought they were gonna kiss, but let me say this like a WWE commentator. The game of the early bird gets the first kiss has began, and our first contestant, Hikari, uses a trick in her playbook, the classic share a spaghetti trick, and as she was about to win the trophy, Inda, the second contestant, was not about to let her win so easily. She pushed Hikari away and sets her lips, saying his eyes will be better if she him, and just as she was bringing her lips for clapping, Hikari hit her with her huge melons. Boom! And someone would tell me, having melons doesn't have any advantage. Hikari tries again, but Inda still interrupts it, and as Inda was about to grab the trophy for herself, Hikari comes again with the same move and slams her once more with her melons. If I were this monkey, I would sit aside and watch this epic show while eating popcorn. But when Rentaro finally catches on to what the girls are up to, he tells them that if they want to his lips. Rentaro confessed that he had spent all night thinking about how the relationship would go, so knowing things could get out of hand, he came up with a clever plan. He blindfolded himself and put on headphones and told the girls to stand on either side, their positions determined by the roll of a die. If it landed on an even number, they stood to the right. If odd, to the left, blindfolded. I think I just explained nonsense. It's simpler this way. They'll be all blindfolded and deaf with songs in their ears. They will all stand at designated places, and he alone will move and lip one, then move on to lip clap the other. But this actually fails harder than my first year result. The first time he moved towards Hikari and had for himself a good grab of her melons, damn! Tears of joy are literally forming and rolling off my eyes right now. They tried again, but a stupid cat intervened as it caught a whiff of India's peach covers and went to scratch her right there in the woman's business. The cat is behaving like he just found its lost cat. The whole thing was a disaster. Feeling guilty, Rentaro apologized, admitting that the entire mess was his fault, but he wasn't about to let it end on such a sour note. Rentaro decided to sacrifice himself for the greater good. He called in the vice principal, hoping to give her the first kiss instead so the girls wouldn't fight over it. But before she could his soul, Inda, channeling her inner WWE star, locked her in a wrestling hold. Meanwhile, Hikari rallied all the teachers, and together, they managed to get the vice principal to leave. That scary principal moves like a spider. When the dust settled, he told the girls that he cared about both of them and didn't want them to fight. If the first kiss was going to cause this much trouble, he'd rather throw it away. Touched by his sincerity, the girls realized they'd been selfish. They agreed to stop fighting, deciding it didn't matter who kissed him first because they both loved him. Rentaro feeling a wave of relief. They get to the roof and they all kiss at the same time. And the next day, they headed to the library to find a cookbook, hoping to whip up something special for Rentaro, but fate had other plans. As they searched the shelves, another girl reached for the same book as Rentaro, and when their hands touched, lightning struck, and you know it, it's another soulmate. At that moment, the girl imagined herself as a princess trapped in a castle, waiting for her knight in shining armor. Back in the real world, she shyly offered the book to Rentaro, but Rentaro insisted she take it first. The girl only communicated through written word. He wondered if she might be mute, so he gestured to her, but this wasn't a silent voice. Through the book, she explained her shyness, revealing that she struggled to talk to others. She felt bad for making him uncomfortable and tried to leave, but Rentaro stopped her. He apologized and asked for help finding a romantic novel with a happy ending. Without missing a beat, the girl scoured the shelves, piling up books that matched his request. Rentaro was amazed, but there was one problem. His library membership had expired, and he couldn't renew it until the following week. The girl, Shizuka by name, handed him her book so he wouldn't leave empty-handed. That night, as Rentaro read the book Shizuka lent him, he began to imagine himself as a knight, fighting dragons to protect his princess. But the story took a heartbreaking turn when the knight couldn't save his beloved princess, who was destined to marry someone else. Bro was crying on a book. Shameless. The next day, Rentaro found Shizuka and told her how much he enjoyed the book. She was thrilled and had already brought him the sequel. As they spent time together, Rentaro discovered that reading was Shizuka's escape from a lonely childhood, where books were her only friends. Moved by her story, Rentaro asked if he could borrow the second volume of the book, but he had something else in mind. Days passed, and Shizuka noticed Rentaro hadn't spoken to her again, which made her sad. To make matters worse, she saw him talking to Hakari and Inda, and then Hakari kissed him, and Shizuka's heart sank as memories of her darkest days flooded back, days when she was teased for not speaking and scolded by her mother. But just when things seemed bleak, Rentaro returned. He handed back the book, thanking her again. Then, he asked if she had a cell phone and sent her a file. When she opened it, she found her favorite book in digital form. Rentaro had handwritten the entire thing and turned it into an app that read the dialogues aloud. He explained that he knew how hard it was for her to speak, so he wanted to help her communicate. In that moment, Shizuka couldn't help but say that she loves him, and before we know, they both land in front of Hakari and Inda to get permission to have another girlfriend. Bro had to consult the progenitors. Predictably, Inda was furious, while Hakari was just happy that Rentaro hadn't forgotten about her. Rentaro promised to care for all of them with lines that he probably picked from a Nigerian man's playbook. I haven't sneaked a peek all episode, but come look at this. 2202, is that Amazon or a mama? What the hell? He introduced Shizuka to the girls, who were surprised to see she communicated through her cell phone. Rentaro starts spilling the beans about how he adores the little things about the girls. For instance, he loves how Shizuka expresses her emotions through her feet. When she moves them quickly, it's a sign she's super happy. Bro has been watching them the way I watch anime. Hakari has this cute habit of bringing her finger to her lips whenever she's deep in thought, while Inda can't help but twirl her hair when someone throws a compliment her way. Speaking of details, Rentaro casually mentions that during their kiss, they were so focused they literally forgot to breathe. At this point, Shizaki gets a bit shy and nervously asks if they've already kissed. All two girls, without missing a beat, nod and say. Hakari asks if Shizaki wants in on the action, but Shizaki says she's saving her first kiss for marriage. Now, Rentaro's a bit worried about how Shizaki will gel with Hakari and Inda, but don't worry, our guy has a plan up his sleeve. He knows that when people first meet, they often act like someone they're not because they're scared of showing their true colors. But when you let your guard down and show your real self, it's way easier to connect with someone. And if there's one thing you learn from this, it's that honesty is key. To break the ice, Rentaro busts out a deck of cards and suggests a little game with a twist. The winner gets to tickle the losers. The first round ends with Rentaro as the victor and Inda as the loser. She's secretly pleased because this was her plan all along. The tickle fest begins and Inda tries to hold it in, but she inevitably breaks down and lays on the floor like a hot potato ready to be devoured, and this awakes hormones that run wild in Rentaro's body. In the second round, Hakari loses. She's so happy that one opens up her melons for him to tickle, but Inda was not having it. She put back Hakari's enormous melons back into her shirt. When Hakari gets tickled, her peach gets so wet that she has to run aside and blow air on it. Finally, Shizaki loses and Rentaro's excited because he finally gets to hear her laugh and help her come out of her shell. Now, the girls team up with one mission: make Rentaro lose so they can tickle him. And, of course, they succeed. Victory is sweet. But here's the twist. Shizaki wins and, instead of taking full advantage of her win, she lightly tickles Rentaro with just one finger. Hakari is puzzled by this until she realizes that Shizaki's calm and kind personality is something that naturally makes others want to protect her. A few minutes later, Rentaro heads to the bathroom and pause. does. Sneak a goddamn peek. At 11:54, look at the overwhelming difference in body curves and structure between the three of them. I'm pretty sure he's clapping her more than he's clapping the rest, cause if it were me, I'd be clapping her morning, afternoon, night, and any time in between. Inda sees this as a golden opportunity to grill Shizaki about her intentions. Shizaki explains that she's holding back because she doesn't want to interfere with Inda and Hakari's relationship with Rentaro. But Inda isn't having it. She reminds Shizaki that she's Rentaro's girlfriend now too, so there's no need to hold back. Shizaki admits she's scared that Rentaro might compare her to them. How could she possibly compete with girls as graceful as Hakari or as confident as Inda? Inda, seeing how much Shizaki's words resonate, tells her that she's got amazing qualities too. She's smart and adorable. Hakari chimes in, reassuring Shizaki that Rentaro will say so many sweet things about her she won't know what hit her. With that, the three girls finally start bonding. Rentaro, observing from the sidelines, feels like a master strategist. This was all part of his plan, after all. Move over, Aizen. There's a new mastermind in town. When Rentaro returns, Inda declares that the tickle punishment is back on because the last one didn't count. Now that Shizaki is more at ease, and the girls have told her to go for it, she boldly asks Rentaro for a kiss. She gets her lips and Hakari wastes no time asking for her lips to be too. Inda fusses, but she also gets her lips clapped. Can't believe bro went from to clapping 3 lips, and he's still got 97 more to clap. Damn. At the start of the week, exam results are posted. The girls are there to see them, but Rentaro realizes he left his phone in the classroom. When he goes back to get it, he bumps into a girl named Nano, who's got her long silver hair down, looking like a low-quality version of his death from Akame Kill. And he hits the strike again, lightning struck, and they fell in love immediately. This bro is going around and falling in love with every girl that comes his way. If you've got a girl, hide her! Don't say I didn't want you. Rentaro asks if she's going to check her grades, but she's not interested. She already knows she's in first place. Rentaro realizes he's found soulmate number 4. Knowing the drill, Rentaro suggests they check the grades together, but Nano insists it's pointless, so Rentaro shrugs and leaves. When he reunites with the girls, he congratulates them on their good scores and casually mentions that Nano aced everything. Rentaro was intrigued and asked the girls what they know about Nano, and Inda tells him that Nano is practically a genius. So smart that people joke she might actually be an advanced AI. Later, in biology class, Rentaro and Nano are paired up, but she's got a chill frost attitude. She even dismisses the idea of using the microscope for their assignment, claiming it's a waste of time since she already knows what they'll see. Talk about sass! Despite Nano's icy demeanor, Rentaro finds himself captivated by her elegance, a kind of pure, unapproachable beauty that's hard to ignore. But then as Rentaro is cutting an onion for the experiment, he nicks his finger. He turns around, and as he's about to head to the infirmary, Nano stops him, saying the cut is so minor that she can heal it herself in a rather unique way. She proceeded to put his finger, and she licked the hell out of it, and all that played in my mind was the efficiency of that tongue twist. If it was my Excalibur in there, I meant his Excalibur in there. My bad. After class, Rentaro thanks her and offers to treat her to a soda, but Nano declines, saying it's unnecessary. Rentaro, who's not one to give up on his love, tells Nano he'd like to get to know her better, explaining that he thinks talking to people and having fun is important. But Nano isn't swayed. She coldly replies that fun doesn't improve her grades or add value to her life. In her view, only things that create benefits like money, tools, and knowledge are valuable. Rentaro is left wondering if Nano could really be his soulmate.
Sayonara.
But as Nano studies that night, she can't stop thinking about him. Love, it seems, is messing with her head, and this frustrates the crap out of her, and she scribbles numbers everywhere. The next day, Nano confronts Rentaro and confesses that she likes him and wants to start a relationship. My boy rubs his hands and licks his lips and says, "Hell, yeah!" But then she immediately backtracks, saying she expected him to refute, and since he didn't, she has to end things because romance is just a waste of time for her. Little does she know, Rentaro's been rejected more times than he can count, but not as much as I've been turned boy by all the 5s I've come across. I can't get a higher number, but if I do, let's not go there, Broski. And this won't be enough to break his spirit. He proposes a deal, 1 date, and if he can't win her over, he'll stop pursuing her. Nano agrees, confident that Rentaro won't succeed. The date is set for later that week, and Rentaro's a bundle of nerves. It's his first real date, after all. Everything starts off well enough. Rentaro's awestruck by Nano's beauty when she arrives. But as the date progresses, it's clear Nano isn't impressed by anything. Not even the haunted house or the amusement rides, but still, Rentaro remains hopeful, thinking maybe, just maybe, he'll find something that sparks her interest. Rentaro and Nano were on the Ferris wheel, and things took an unexpected turn. Nano is scared of heights, so Rentaro asks to sit beside her to help calm her nerves. She agrees, and soon enough, they're holding hands. She loves him, but she's just a tad bit the inexpressive type. Nano, who's usually always the cool one, starts feeling all sorts of butterflies. Later, they go through the photos from the day, and despite Nano's usual poker face, there's one where she actually looks like she had fun. She's a bit surprised, admitting that maybe she did enjoy herself, which she finds strange since others often say she's like a robot showing no emotions. But Rentaro tells her it's all in the details, and if you look close enough, you can see it. Nano then confesses that she had fun, but feels like she didn't gain anything useful from the experience. Rentaro reassures her that not every moment needs to have some grand purpose. He's just happy she was honest about how she felt, but then Nano gets serious, saying that since the day didn't serve any real purpose, they should just burn the photos. Rentaro pulls out a lighter, but just as he's about to torch them, Nano snatches the lighter away. He teases her, saying that you can't lose what you don't have, but now that she's afraid of losing something, it means she actually gained something new that day. This realization hits Nano hard, like my Excalibur would if dimensions just let me at her. She starts crying, understanding that even the simple happy moments matter. Once she calms down, she turns to Rentaro and says she wants to start a relationship with him to discover together everything she's missed out on. Rentaro's been on board that motion, and they seal the deal with a handshake, but Nano pulls in for a instead. The next day, Rentaro asks the other girls if they're cool with adding someone new to their little group. They're not surprised at all and easily agree. After hearing about the Ferris wheel date, they decide it's time for a group outing. Hikari, who already had this in mind, suggests a trip to the water park. Inda heads out to buy some swimwear. Now, Inda isn't your typical bikini-wearing girl, but she spots one and wonders if Rentaro might think she looks good in it. The day arrives, and all the girls show up looking fabulous, well, except Inda, who's wrapped up in some kind of robe, claiming she's cold, but we know the truth. She's the sole ambassador of all the rulers in the world. The others dive into the pools, but the real action happens. No! That's not how to start it. Hikari and the ugly virgin, we can't even say he's a anymore. Hikari was standing with the certified clapper, and then came Nano, and as an equalist in melon size, she effortlessly just places his hands on her melons and says he should play with them. Hikari can never be outdone. She immediately grabs his hands and mount them on her melons, and the overflow of hormones makes him Sanji out. Naturally, they try to revive him, sneaking in some lip clapping during CPR. They rush to find a lifeguard. Meanwhile, Nano and Hikari run into some sketchy guys. One of them, clearly starved for any female affection, makes a move on Hikari. But before he can lay a hand on her, Nano steps in and lands a solid punch right in his face, just like Saitama from OPM. The guy's friends threaten to make them pay, but Nano tells Hikari to leave, saying she'll handle it. Hikari hesitates, but Nano insists, pointing out that if anything happened to her, Rentaro would be devastated. Just as things are about to get ugly, our hero, Rentaro, comes back to life. He stands between the girls and the troublemakers, declaring that no one's going to mess with his girlfriends. The guys don't believe him, thinking it's just a lame excuse, but Rentaro's got backup. Both Nano and Hikari confirm they're his girlfriends, leaving the guys shocked, and he immediately their lips and they guys skedaddle. That was all the motivation Rentaro needed to jump up and save the day. With the gang back together, they realize Shizuki is missing. Turns out she got lost, and to make matters worse, her phone died. But luckily she spots Rentaro searching for her and musters up the courage to scream for help. Though her voice is barely a whisper, Rentaro hears it and comes to her rescue. He carries her across the pool, and she takes the chance to his lips. Once everyone's safe, Rentaro suggests the girls go have fun while he takes a breather with Inda. When he asks why she's avoiding the pool, she claims it's because she's cold. Rentaro, however, calls her out, noting that she ordered a drink with extra ice. He gently nudges her to admit that she might be feeling insecure about her body after changing with the other girls. Understandable, with the melons on Nano and Haraki, anyone would feel depressed, most especially the fact that even tiny Shizuki has something. Inda starts feeling vulnerable and confesses that she doesn't think she's as pretty or as curvy as the others, but Rentaro, being the good guy he is, reassures her with a hug, telling her she's perfect just the way she is. He reminds her that everyone's unique and wonderful in their own way. With Rentaro's words boosting her confidence, Inda joins the rest of the group, and the date officially kicks off. The next day, everyone rushes to the school cafeteria for pancakes, but this love at first sight cow spots a gorgeous girl in the lab. Curious, he heads to the lab the following day, hoping to meet her again. Instead, he encounters Kusuri, who offers him a harmless-looking cup of tea. Rentaro explains that he's not there to join the chemistry club, he's just looking for the girl he saw. Kusuri isn't interested in his story and insists he drink the tea. Rentaro obliges, but then she presents him with a strange medicine, claiming it'll turn him into a human magnet. Rentaro hesitates but eventually tries it. Kusuri then takes a dose herself, saying it'll make her the opposite pole of a magnet, ensuring they're always together. She even hints that if she were upside down. But just as Rentaro's starting to think Kusuri might be his soulmate, the medicine's effect wears off. Kusuri then reveals that the tea she gave him was a love potion because she's been in love with him all along. She asks him out, thrilled that her plan worked. Bro doesn't even hold back anymore. Rentaro, however, tries to fight off the sudden surge of feelings, not wanting to act on them. Kusuri, confused by his resistance, thinks it's because he doesn't like her, but before she can find out the truth, the potion's side effects kick in, and Rentaro looks like he's about to pass out. No worries though, Kusuri has the antidote ready, but there's a problem. Rentaro won't stop moving, making it hard for her to administer it. Kusuri's heart races as she realizes that the effects are indeed gone, but maybe, just maybe, Rentaro actually likes her for real. This thought sends her into a frenzy. She kneels before him, pleading for a chance to date. Rentaro, trying to calm her down, tells her to get up, but things take a wild turn. Suddenly, Kusuri begins to transform into a bigger Melanie girl, 100 times cuter than she was a few minutes ago. Rentaro's understandably confused, but Kusuri, now in her true form, spills the beans. Turns out she once tried to make herself immortal with a potion, but it only made her younger. The girl standing before him is the real Kusuri, and she can only maintain this form for a few minutes. To top it off, she's the leader of the chemistry group for the 3rd year. Realizing that she's his soulmate and older than him, Rentaro does what any guy would do. He asks her out, making her day. The next day, Rentaro shares the news with the other girls who, despite everything, welcome Kusuri to the club. To get along with them, Kusuri whips up potions for each of the girls. For Inda, a potion to boost her stats. For Hakari, one that makes her bigger, though it hilariously just melts her clothes. For Shizuka, a potion that gives her rabbit-like ears. And finally, for Nano, a potion to control her hair, though it only lasts a few minutes. As they gather for tea, Kusuri warns them not to mix up the cups, since one is specifically for Rentaro. Hakari, thinking the larger cup is for everyone, serves Rentaro the wrong tea. When Kusuri returns, she realizes the mix-up and freaks out. The tea meant for Rentaro was designed to make him feel like kissing her, but the girls drank it instead. Rentaro tells her she doesn't need potions for him to love her. He likes her just the way she is. But here's the catch, the tea was made for guys. For girls, it deactivates their body limiters, turning them into superhumans with only one thing on their minds, getting their peach clapped. And if an hour passes and their bodies adapt to the potion, they'll stay in this state forever. They manage to buy some time, but the girls are relentless. Rentaro quickly realizes that despite their zombie-like state, the girls are still smart and have a plan to trap him. To give Kusuri time to whip up an antidote, Rentaro decides to split up. Unfortunately for him, Shizuka, though clumsy and slow, is the one who catches up first. She trips, and Rentaro, being the gentleman he is, helps her up. But the moment she gets close, she climbs on him and begins to him nonstop, making Rentaro's mind go foggy. He barely manages to escape, but the situation repeats when he encounters Hakari and Inda. These two execute Olympic-level maneuvers to catch up with him. Despite being in zombie mode when they catch him, they immediately begin to him turn by turn, but their true nature hinders them. They bicker like an old married couple, and Rentaro uses this to his advantage, getting them to resolve their issues, and they begin to each other in the process. Rentaro eventually makes it to the lab, hoping to find Kusuri, but instead he finds Nano. Thinking fast, he hides in a locker, only to discover that Kusuri is already hiding inside. She explains that she tried to avoid being seen by Nano by hiding, but now they're both stuck. Kusuri starts off blaming herself for everything, feeling like she's always causing trouble with her experiments. She even considers quitting her research altogether, but Rentaro won't have it. He reminds her that her experiments, while chaotic, are what make her special. He encourages her, saying it's what he loves most about her. Kusuri finally finds the courage to step out of the locker, hoping Nano doesn't recognize her. Unfortunately, things don't go as planned. Nano manages to catch Rentaro and ultimately claps the she out of him. Kusuri, in her shrunken form, races back to the lab and prepares the antidote. Nano and the other girls eventually take the antidote and return to normal, though Hakari and Inda clearly remember what happened. In the aftermath, Kusuri apologizes to everyone and promises to stop her experiments, but Rentaro disagrees. He tells her that her experiments might have caused trouble, but they also saved the day. His words touch her and she falls even more in love with him. The girls too agree with Rentaro, reaffirming their bond. We switch to a scene where Hakari is with someone who looks like her mother and things don't seem to be going well. But before we dive into that drama, the scene changes again and we find everyone at the park, enjoying a beautiful day among the flowers. Suddenly, an announcement comes over the speaker about a competition to catch the wedding bouquet. Hakari explains that whoever catches it gets to take a photo with their boyfriend in a bridal gown, something she's always dreamed of since she was a kid. Of course, the girls are all in, but they're up against some tough competition. Another girl has organized a whole squad to win the bouquet. The competition kicks off with the beautiful vice principal tossing the bouquet, and chaos ensues. The gorilla group, yep, that's their name. They're playing dirty, using every trick in the book to eliminate the competition. They actually look like gorillas. Even the girl that wants a bouquet looks like a gorilla, and she's 100 times uglier than the gorilla in the Fruit of Evolution. At one point, a member nearly falls on Hakari, but Kusuri, quick on her feet, intercepts and puts on the gorilla's outfit, going toe-to-toe with their leader. Things start looking up for our heroes, but the gorilla group creates a tornado to snatch the bouquet. Unfortunately, they don't realize that they've sent little Shizuka flying through the air. But hey, it's not all bad. She lands right in front of the bouquet, grabs it, and for a moment, it looks like she's won. But gravity has other plans, and she starts falling.
I hate gravity!
Nano, ever the quick thinker, calculates where she'll land, and just as she's about to hit the ground, Rentaro sprints and leaps in and catches her midair. The family won, but now comes the tricky part, deciding who gets to take the photo with Rentaro. Turns out, Hakari had been scheming all along. She declares that whoever grabs the biggest stick wins, and of course, she had already marked the sticks beforehand. Classic Hakari. She quickly targets Nano, thinking she'd be the easiest to trick, but Nano suggests everyone pick at the same time. Hakari is nervous but still determined and comes out on top. However, not everyone's thrilled with the result. Kusuri, who was eagerly looking forward to the photo, is visibly upset. Seeing this, Hakari feels guilty and decides to give Kusuri the chance, even though it was all just a selfish whim of hers. In the end, Hakari sticks to her original plan and takes the photo herself. The couple dresses up and the photo turns out beautifully. Afterward, Hakari's mood shifts. She thanks Rentaro for everything they've experienced together, saying these days have been the happiest of her life. But then she drops a bombshell and she asks Rentaro to break up with her. Rentaro is shocked and confused, trying to figure out why. But before he can process it, Hakari disappears, leaving him in a daze. The person in charge of the place tells Rentaro that someone came to pick Hakari up. Panicking, Rentaro tries to call her, but she doesn't answer. With no other options, he tracks down the address from some cute photos she sent him, leading him to a massive mansion. Peeking through a window, Rentaro spots Hikari, who gestures for him to stay quiet. Rentaro quickly notices a guard approaching but manages to avoid being seen. Shortly after, Hikari calls him from an unknown number, telling him to leave and that she no longer likes him. But Rentaro isn't buying it and demands the truth. Hikari finally admits that her mother found out about her relationship with Rentaro and all her other girlfriends. This is something her mother cannot tolerate. In fact, Hikari reveals that her mom is planning to transfer her to another school, and even if they meet again, her mother will always find a way to separate them. Just then, Hikari's mother arrives and tells Rentaro to back off. Honestly, who wouldn't be mad if their daughter's boyfriend had 4 other girlfriends? Gotta give some sympathy to the lady. Minutes later, Hikari's mother explains, and damn it, hold up for the ceremony. I've been waiting for all this while. I was about to name Hikari the Meloneer, but damn! After seeing that her mom poses even bigger melons, I have officially named her mother.
Psych!
The Meloneer of this season. Let's continue with her name. She's Hahari the Meloneer, and she says that she's only trying to protect her daughter. She doesn't want her little girl to get hurt like she did. Rentaro, devastated, feels powerless. He's just a kid with no money, no power, nothing. Everything he had with Hikari seems over. But then he spots a 4-leaf clover, reminding him of everything he's gone through with Hikari. He decides he won't give up. That night, Rentaro gathers the girls and tells them he's going to rescue Hikari, even though it seems impossible. He asks them to wait for him, but they refuse to let him face this challenge alone. The impossible mission begins, and they manage to get past the first obstacle, the gate. Rentaro plans to throw a ball at Hikari's window to signal her, then have her climb down using a rope. But of course, they lose the ball to a very annoying white cat. Just their luck. And to make things worse, a guard arrives, and fortunately, they stay out of sight. Moments later, Nano uses her smarts to open a door with a few stones, avoiding further trouble. The cat problem gets replaced by a much bigger dog problem, though. Everyone scrambles outside to avoid being attacked, but Rentaro notices Shizuka missing. The poor girl is frozen with fear as the dog approaches. Rentaro wants to help her, but Nano stops him, fearing the noise might alert the guards. As Shizuka prepares for the worst, she remembers why they're there and, like a true anime hero, faces the danger head-on. Only to discover that the dog just wanted to play with her. Crisis averted, but now they need to get inside without setting off any alarms. Kasuri creates an antidote to make the dog sleep, but Shizuka, shaking like a leaf, almost messes it up. Luckily, the dog falls asleep after licking Shizuka's face. With the dog down, they move on to their next challenge: infrared beams. But don't worry, Kasuri has a solution for that too. She gives Rentaro drops that let him see in the dark, but with a side effect that everything looks like an infrared light show. Rentaro uses the drops, activates his Sharingan, and prepares to dodge the beams. He and Inda are tied up because she's obviously the stronger one, and they climb the wall and pass over the lasers in a rather awkward fashion, but make it through. Once inside, Rentaro and Inda find Hikari crying over the photos they had taken together. Rentaro tries to comfort her and get her out of the mansion, but it's too late. The plan has failed. Hikari feels immense guilt, knowing that because of her, Rentaro now has to face her mother, a battle they cannot win. And even if they run half across the world, her mother will still find them, and will they keep running forever? Finally, Hikari's mother appears with Rentaro. She tells him that no matter what he does, he will never be with Hikari. Rentaro tries to express his love for Hikari, but her mother isn't listening. She tells him about how she had Hikari at a young age and loved her from the moment she saw her. However, she doesn't want her daughter to experience the same heartbreak she did. This is why she's so protective, why she can't let Hikari go through the same pain. Upon hearing this, Rentaro can't help but cry. His tears wash away the effect of the drops, allowing him to see Hikari's mother face to face. Then, the unexpected happened. Hikari's mother, the Meloneer, starts to feel something for Rentaro, just like Hikari did. Wait, I just said that lightly. Rentaro is now clapping people's moms. Keep your moms away. No one said he was gonna unlock the MILF code. Hikari's mother admits she hasn't felt this way in years, not since she lost her first love. Suddenly, she asks Rentaro to marry her. Yeah, you heard that right. This actually blows my mind away, you know? Rentaro, the smooth operator, tells her that if she wants, they can date. But she quickly snaps out of it and insists that Rentaro stay away from Hakari. To prove his love, she brings out a high-tech lie detector machine. Inda is tested first, and it's confirmed that Rentaro is the most important person in her life. Well, you know her. She denies at first, but later confesses, and this makes the monkey Sanji out. Now, it's Rentaro's turn. He declares that Hakari is the most important person to him and that he truly loves her. The machine confirms his honesty, convincing Hakari's mother a bit, but not enough. Then a guard interrupts, warning that Hakari is about to do something dangerous. Inda sacrifices herself and holds down Hakari, telling Rentaro to go save Hakari. Rentaro races to her side, catching her just before she does something drastic. He confesses his love and promises to do whatever it takes to make her happy. Hakari is still unsure, and she tells him that as long as her mother is around, they'll have to keep running. But Rentaro reassures her, saying that sometimes you have to fight through the tough times to reach your dreams. With these words, he convinces Hakari to stay with him. However, as she looks down, she gets dizzy and trips off the tip of the window she's standing, and Rentaro follows suit and grabs her right into his arms as they plummet toward the ground. They actually just land in the mansion's fountain. Hakari's mother watches in horror, but Rentaro's determination pays off as they land safely. The other girls rush to pull them out, though poor Shizuka, who can't swim, needs some extra help. Now safe, Inda scolds Hakari for risking everything. Her words finally convince Hakari's mother of Rentaro's sincerity. Rentaro promised to make Hakari happy. He moved over to Hakari's mom and told her that he didn't mind a relationship with her. The girls scream, but she agrees to it, and they sealed the deal with a kiss. It's official. He's clapping. Moms now. They all go on and take a bath together. Bro is living not just the dream, but a mix of heaven and he dream. I'd probably be having me a good melon fest if I were there. After the bath, things start to get interesting. Rentaro finds himself hanging out with Hakari, and suddenly some mysterious noises start coming from their direction. We know they're basically clapping themselves. Naturally, the other girls get curious and decide to check it out. When they peek in, they discover Hakari. The Meloneer's been up to some cosplay shenanigans. She dressed Rentaro as a girl and Nano as a boy to recreate a scene where a prince wakes up a sleeping princess. It's a mix of both hilarious and weird, but it's all in good fun. Later, while Rentaro is taking a bath, the girls decide they want to catch a glimpse of his Excalibur, if you know what I mean. I'll give you some detail. They climb to the next floor and lower one of them like a spy, but this in turn freaks him out. They tried other ways like climbing into the ceiling to get a view from the top, but the cats scared the she out of them and they immediately ran back. Shizuki, on the other hand, was trying to warn Rentaro, but she was wrapped up and kept away. She finds a means to roll herself to him, but she's met with a great hurdle, a flight of stairs. She's startled by the dog, and eventually she rolls down the stairs, and out of the sheet she's wrapped in and rolls all the way to the bath where Rentaro is. When she lifts her head, she takes one good look at Rentaro's enormous Excalibur, and being the first she's ever seen, she passes out. He took her and ran to the ladies and found out that they've been trying to sneak a peek. Instead of unveiling his enormous Excalibur, the cow scolds the ladies instead. After all the craziness, Rentaro starts looking for Hakari the Meloneer since he hasn't seen her in a while. He finds her quietly praying in front of her late husband's photo. Feeling the weight of the moment, Rentaro steps in and also pays his respects. Hakari the Meloneer then opens up to Rentaro, confessing that she's still deeply in love with her late husband and feels guilty now that she's started to like Rentaro too. She's torn, thinking it's wrong to have feelings for someone else. Rentaro, the understanding guy, tells her that just because she's developing feelings for him doesn't mean she stopped loving her husband. He reassures her that love isn't something we can control, and if she ever feels that she no longer has feelings for him, she should be honest about it. Until then, he promises to do everything he can to make her happy. They seal this heartfelt promise with yet another. But little did Rentaro know that very night, the ghost of Hakari the Meloneer's husband would make an appearance. When the ghost shows up, Rentaro doesn't panic. He's already figured out that this spirit is a kind and trustworthy guy. The ghost, still worried, asks Rentaro about his intentions, with Hahari the Melanier. Rentaro calmly repeats what he told Hahari the Melanier earlier. He's dedicated to making her happy no matter what. This honesty convinces the ghost, who finally finds peace and moves on to the afterlife, leaving Rentaro with a clear path ahead. The next day, it's time for Rentaro to say goodbye to Hahari the Melanier. He promises to visit her as soon as possible, but here's the twist. Hahari the Melanier decides she wants to stay close to Rentaro, so she buys the school. Damn! Bruce Wayne vibes! Rentaro, unaware of this, rushes home only to find out from a worker what's happened. He races back to the school, eager to see her again. As he runs, we catch glimpses of all the girls who might just be Rentaro's future soulmates, setting the stage for what's likely to be a wild second season. The truth is, this anime is a fun ride. But hey, if you've stuck with it this far, that means you're in it for the long haul, assuming there's a second season. If you like the video, sub to the channel for plus 100 aura. Also, if you want to see the exclusive unedited videos, sub to our Patreon for infinite aura.